I'm going to try a little experiment. This is Tommy, by the way, New Life Automotive. I built a lot of hot rods, but anyway, I was going to make some knives at one point, and I got some old railroad spikes, and this stuff's supposed to be pretty high carbon steel. I cut the end off there a little bit, and what I'm going to try to do now is try to machine this into some kind of round and just see what is going to happen. I surfaced that end a little bit. First thing I'm going to do is try to drill me a hole in it, center it. If I can get my belts on here with one hand, and we'll see how that goes. Put a little oil on it and see what happens. I've got my tailstock locked down. Going pretty slow. I don't want to break the bit, but like that bit is cutting it pretty good. I'll go ahead and finish up this hole. Alright, I got some high carbon steel bit in here. I don't know how much I'm taking off, very little. 3 or 4 thousandths. There's another 3 thousandths. Not really, there's another 5. Doing this interrupted cut. Looks like 5 thousandths is coming off pretty good. 5 thousandths a side, 10 thousandths total. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and turn this down a little closer, and then I'll take another look at it. Now I got it on short speed here. I don't know, I think it's about 5,000, 10,000 revolution. It's cutting pretty good. Just engage my feed. I'll back it up here. I'm back on the side of it there. Engage my feed again. Well, it looks like it's cutting pretty good. Not taking a lot off. It sounds pretty good when it gets to the end. Down here it's getting a solid part. Well, it's cutting pretty decently. Alright, I'll just continue on. Alright, here I'm taking about 20 thousandths, total 10 thousandths a side, still interrupted cut. So it's pretty much going along the whole shaft. Put a little oil on it there. But it seems to be handling it pretty good. The blade is moving around, but if you can see the oil film there, it's really not moving anything. See the tool post here is moving a bit, but not much. Could be the whole lathe is wiggling. Probably have to mount this lathe better. I'm not getting so much of an interrupted cut. I'll take 15 thousandths, 30 thousandths total off. And and it'll start to bog the lathe. You hear it pull down every time it starts cutting. But looks like we're doing pretty good now. This is the 10,000 cut, 20,000 total. Still interrupted a little bit right here, but you're going to see when it gets a good part there, it'll quiet right down. That's that sweet. It's just peeling it off like butter. Here we're in the middle of that interrupted cut. The lathe is starting to bog. That seems to be alright now. But I'm back to my 20,000 total. There it is. Here's bog. I'm going to back that off a couple thousand. There we go. Seems to be bogging now at about 7 thousandths. Here. That was about 14 thousandths cut. According to my low gears here, direct drive, I'm doing about 270. So I'm going to put approximately the same speed in on the back gears and take the same cut and see what happens. Alright, I changed my back gears here to the high speed. And it looks like, I don't know, I wrote all this down at one point. 45, looks about 90 compared to 70, so I'm still about, I'm going to take it down to 250 when you use a higher speed here on the motor. That's medium on the back gears. Which is about 170, pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and put another 7,000 here and see what happens. There's 7,000. Run it up here to the point where it bogs and we'll check it again. So the back gears gave it more power, even though we're about the same speed. But makes a lot of noise. Something I just noticed here I don't like. That feed screw is not going even. It's cutting even up here. I don't like the look of that. Alright, it's off of the material. Still turning smooth like I thought it should. I know I don't have any gears stripped or anything. Something's wrong though. Anyway, I don't like all the noise, so I'm going to get rid of that high gear. I found out what happened. The stud I made there in the back loose and wiggling around. It didn't like the interrupted cut apparently and loosened up. I didn't know how tight to tighten it. But I got it all tight. Back on the low gears now. So we're running pretty good. We'll start cutting again and see what happens. Now, I played around with this some more, and looks like that bushing I made may not have been the best deal. I'm taking a temperature of that gear and it's 86 degrees, 85.9. This one down here is 72. This one up on top is 72, 71, 69, 76. That gear's still 82. I also started measuring the bushings. That one's 75, 75, so that's all good. I could tell the motor was pulling a little too much, and it doesn't really, it rotates, but you can see the gear there, but it's not, I've got something pressing on something in there. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it might be in that stud I made. So I'm going to pull that out of there and maybe I can see a wear pattern, see where the friction's at, and relieve it. And here's the stud I made and the brass bushing for these gears. They're pretty warm. Stud's warm. I couldn't really key this thing, so I made a key just to hold it. Let me take it apart here and clean it up. Maybe we can see what's happening. Somehow these gears are not spinning on that bushing anymore. I can feel it's kind of hung in one position there. So maybe I didn't adjust for something. Anyway, I'll get that bushing out of there and we'll see what's wrong with it. Alright, well, it looks like that outside gear was kind of chewing on that bushing. Inside gear was fine, but this little one here, yeah, I can see traces of brass in there too. Somehow this little gear is chewing up the brass. I'm not exactly sure why. I'll have to do some measuring and see what's happening. I figured out what it was. That gear spins fine on there and the big one spins fine. You know, it was scored just a little, but you can kind of see there on the outside. Chewed that bushing up some, but the gear still turns. What happened was this little keyway I made here, or little key, I made it to hold the two gears together, and apparently, you know, there's a little slack in here, and what it was doing was forcing this little key into the outside of the bushing, and that's what was binding. It was the little key I made, and it's probably because it's square instead of flat. I mean, instead of round where it rides on this bushing. So I'll have to try to figure out something else and see what I can do about putting this back together again. Turns out that this little key I made was too thick. Plus I never even piled it down. So I filed it down a little and cleaned it up. Let me set this thing down. There we go. Key goes in there, and now it just spins fine on that bushing. So that was the problem. My keyway was gouging into my little brass bushing. I'll put it back together and see what happens. Alright, I put it back together with a little chainsaw bar lube, which is really sticky stuff. Everything is fine. Probably be much quieter and cut better than it was before. Well, we'll give it a go. 0.7 on an interrupted cut. Low speed again. Kind of hard to tell, but still getting that clacking, but that's because of the interrupted cut. But it seems to be cutting good. I'll wait till it gets down to the end there and see what it does on good now. All of this is much quieter. Not making any noise at all. Looks like the gears are running truer than they were before. And of course this is going at a nice steady speed. So far so good. We'll wait till we get up before we don't have an interrupted cut. We'll see what's happening. Here's 15 thousandths, 30 thousandths on each side, our total. And it's doing real well on an interrupted cut. Blade smells smooth. There's no pulling or surging in it. Alright, we're getting pretty close to the end of the interrupted cut here. It's coming off real nice. That's a 10,000th cut, 5 on each side. Chips are coming off real nice. They're not deformed or anything. Everything in the gears and so forth in here are all working good. Check the temperature, they're all running cold. Pretty much down to into my rod here, or into my spike, turning it into a rod. I'll make a couple more passes and then we'll take a look at it again. Our chips are coming off pretty good. I can't really get much of a focus on this thing here. We're almost down to our final cut. This is about a 1/2 inch rod now. I'm turning it at 270 RPM. Suggested speed for carbon is 140. I'm taking a 10,000th cut, but it looks like it's handling it pretty good. See if I can get a little better shot on that cutter. I just can't get a good focus on it. Anyway, I'll play with that later, but it's cutting nice. Bring it back and we'll do a final pass across. I changed to a left-hand cutting bit here. This is a freshly ground sharp one. You can see it's bringing off some nice long chips. This is maybe 1,000. I'm just cleaning up that surface. It's still got a little holiday right there in the end of it. but the majority of the bar, this is going to be its final dimension. And we'll measure it pretty soon and see what that is. Alright, there's our final bar. I've got some pits, or rust pits, but they didn't come out, but I don't want to turn the whole bar down to that size. So it looks pretty nice. Let's see what I got here. We'll zero this thing out. Looks like it's 0.5195. So I'm just a little over half an inch, which wound up being a pretty nice piece of high carbon steel. I'm going to try something here. I'm not going to temper this piece, but I'm going to try to temper a little piece I cut off of it and see if I can get it, see how hard it will get. Here's a piece of the head. I got a pretty nice surface, so I can chug it to a dark blue, and then I'll just throw it in some water I got here, and we'll see how well this stuff does get hard. Now I hit it with a file here. It is filing it, not very well, but it is filing a little bit. So this is some kind of medium carbon steel. So anyway, that'll make a nice little part. I was thinking of making a little distributor adapter shaft for a Chrysler Hemi out of that, but mostly this was just an experiment on turning a railroad spike and seeing what I could get out of it. So it looks like I got a nice little 1/2 inch piece, about 6 inches long. By the way, I'm going to go over here and check these bearings again. They've been running a while, so let's see. This one's 67 degrees. This top one up here, 69. Bottom lead screw, 68. And that one that I just modified again is 67. So actually it turns out that's the coolest running gear in there. So it must have been a success, whatever I did with modifying that little pin. So anyway, that ends this little episode of my little machine shop wannabe. And we'll see you later. Now, since I am here in the forejaw, I don't have any kind of a tripod. What I've got is this little piece down in there of the bolt I just did, or the railroad spike, and I just stuck it in the forejaw chuck there. So now I'm gonna try to fix it. Looks like this is our high side here, so I'm gonna loosen this one a bit, tighten that one, and there's our high side here. I think that's high side. Let me see. That's our low side. So I'll just loosen this one a bit. Oh yeah, that one's really loose. Tighten that one. Gonna be your high side here. Loosen that one. Tighten that one. Here's our high side right there. That one down a bit. I'm sure you guys have all seen this, but me it's kind of interesting to do this. High side, loosen the low, tighten high, and we're getting closer. This high side, loosen that a bit, tighten that one. And there's our high side. It's in the middle, so I'm going to loosen both of these a little. Tighten those two. And that's getting closer. And those are high. Loosen that one. Tighten that one. Getting better. Those are high. Loosen and tighten. There's our high there. Loosen that one. Tighten that one. Ooh, made it worse. Alright, high. I felt when I loosened that one that I loosened it too much. High side. I'm not very fast at this. But I keep working on it. Well, that's pretty good. I'm within 1/1000th and a half. I'm just going to try to tighten up the high side and not mess with the low side. You'll see even that messed it up. Okay, there's the high side. I'll try loosening this. And give that another tighten. Getting worse. See, I had it within 2/1000ths or 1/1000ths. I should have quit. Well, I was ahead. This is probably boring to you. I'll shut this off for right now and then go ahead and get it done, and then I'll finish up this little piece. Okay, I got it within just under 1/1000th. That's good enough. What I want to do, all I want to do is cut the end of that thing off, or turn it to the same size as the rest of it, and that way I'll have a good piece of rod and not have big square ends sticking out. You know, I don't really have much of a tripod or anything, but figured I'd see if it'll turn out. Watch me turn this down. I'm taking off about 3 or 4 thousandths on each side of the pass here. It's cut better when the tool's going the right way. Making a smaller cut, so the other way makes a smooth cut. You can fit backwards until I'm getting down to kind of a nominal size. I'm going to try to take it all the way down to the size of the first one. I'm just going to get it till I get new metal all the way around. Who knows, I might want a piece of metal with something a little bigger on one end. I'll use just wasting it. That's starting to cut pretty good now. I'm just feeding the saddle by hand. cutoff tool. Sounds like I'm probably getting 3/4 of the way around it, so my cuts are getting a little slower. Still taking off about 3,000 to 4,000 a pass. 6 to 8 thousandths total diameter. Didn't really tighten up my forejaw, and I went ahead and tried to cut it and got hung and just spun in the forejaw. Shouldn't really make any difference for the alignment because it just turns around, so I just tightened up the forejaw again, and that's where I'm going now. So I got one low spot left. I just guessed at where the center of that railroad spike was. It looked like it was off a little bit. I could have moved away from that pitted side, but it was a little bent, so this may wind up having to go all the way down to the original size to be good. I don't even know if the camera's working or not. I guess I'll find out when I look at this video. It sounds pretty good now. Still got the interrupted cut. Pretty nice little chips off of it. They're not discolored, so I'm not going too fast. I'm getting a big chip. Before I haven't been using any oil, it might be time to do that. Probably helping some. I was using a lot of oil at first, man. I got oil all over the place. It's a long, boring video. It's pretty close to the end. If you don't want to watch it, just skip to the end. In fact, I'll just turn it off for right now. Pretty much down to the end now, so I'm going to take off 5,000 for the automatic feed. That'll give me a little better finish. Pretty much got all my holidays out of it. Sounds good, but I think it's still an interrupted cut. It's real close to the diameter of the other one. 5,000.